ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. There's no question. The most important document of the Jewish people is the Torah. That's what defines us. That is the message that tells us what we have to do with our lives. It has many moral principles. And in fact, in these days of Simchat Torah, when we finish the reading, the annual cycle of reading the Torah, we celebrate, we dance with it because we have read it week upon week until we finished it and we started all over again. On the most solemn day of the Jewish calendar, Yom Kippur, we start the day by reciting a certain prayer called Kol Nidre. But what do? We take out the Torah from the ark and we parade with the Torah and we show everyone this is the most important document. In fact, we're going to tell God on Yom Kippur, forgive us because we try to live according to the laws that are contained in this Torah. We just celebrated the festivity of Sukkot, the Hoshanot. Those are prayers of, on the one hand, the glory of God, and at the same time, petition for certain things that we need. What do? We take out the Torah and we go around the Torah to say that the Torah is really the center of all of our aspirations. This is the guide of the road in which we have to go. Well, each generation, of course, has to interpret the Torah according to its own mores. And our generation, of course, is in need more than ever. As sacred as this Torah is, and maybe because of it, you know what the Nazis did during the Second World War? They burned books. They burned the Torah. You know, I have a certain respect for books. I have put out a number of books in the last couple of decades, and I know how much effort there is in a book. You know, when I take a book in my hands, it's almost like a holy object. How do you go about and burn a book? But that's what the Nazis did. The Nazis were not the first to do that. The Talmud records Rabbi Hanina ben Teradion. He disobeyed the order of Hadrian, the emperor. The emperor said, no more teaching of the Torah, but he did the contrary. So you know what they did? They wrapped his body in the parchments of Torah and burnt him alive. His disciples that were around him, because these were public executions, so people should know what happens if you disobey the orders of the emperor. His students asked him, Master, what do you see? You're about to leave this world. Tell us, what message do you have for us? And he said, Gevilin nisrafin, ve'otiyot porchot ba'avir. The parchments are being burned, but the letters are floating in the air. You cannot destroy the message. You can destroy the paper, the parchment, the physical part of the Torah, but you can't destroy the other part of the Torah. In the Talmud, we read about Rav Huna, who makes mention of an episode in the 7th century, I think, before the Common Era. There was a king by the name of Yehoiakim, Jewish people. He ordered that the book, namely the Torah, be burned, be destroyed. He committed incest. He was a terrible king. He had been imposed by an Egyptian king. He was really a vassal to another king. And Rav Huna says, you know, to remember what this Yehoiakim did, we have to tear our garments. It's the same as when a person loses a parent, a brother. You have to tear your clothing because your heart is torn. So you tear your clothing as an external manifestation of really how you feel, because the Torah is like a human being. It's alive for us. It's not a dead document. It tells us, it has a message to tell us today. So he says, you have to rend your garment twice. Why twice? One, because of the parchment, and another time, because of the letters. So my teacher, Rabbi Soloveitchik, says, we were already taught by Hanina ben Teradion, you can only destroy the parchment, but the letters, they float. You can't destroy them. So why is Rav Huna in this case saying that you have to tear twice, once for the parchment and once for the letters? So Rabbi Soloveitchik answers and he says, maybe that is to teach us, when a foreigner burns the Torah, he can never erase the message. He can only burn the parchment. The message remains with us. But when one of us, like King Yehoiakim, who was a Jewish king, when he orders the burning of the Torah, he can maybe destroy the message as well. You know, it hurts much more when it's one of your own that does something. When somebody who is a stranger, your enemy, maybe you don't accept it, you fight against it. Maybe you can understand someone, but your own, how can you accept that? I feel terrible for my brethren in Venezuela. When the National Guard, Venezuelans, with brutality put down peaceful manifestations, it must hurt doubly. If some foreigner would do that, well, maybe you can accept it. But your own people to do that against you, I think we have to be very careful for homegrown terrorism. You know, when terrorists come from the outside, maybe you can build a wall in order to make it difficult to come into the United States. You ask 10 questions before you admit anybody. But what do you do with homegrown terrorists? What do you do with those that through the internet or God knows what learn to do bad things in your own territory? How can we combat that? How can we confront that? I think education is our only instrument. But not only education, there must be a moral ingredient to education. I understand why people are against state and religion working together. They want a separation between state and religion. Look at what happened during the Middle Ages. Look at what happened with the Inquisition. Look at what happens in certain theocracies today when there is no difference between religion and state. We want a separation. But on the other hand, you don't want to exile religion from society. You don't want to do that either. What are we going to do with the quarters in the United States? The coins that say, in God we trust. Are we going to issue new coins? We're going to erase, we don't trust in God. What are we going to do? I think we have to look for some kind of modus vivendi, some kind of understanding. There must be a separation, but you cannot exile God from society. We must teach morals. Our next generation, they have to know the difference in good and bad. They have to know what is the responsibility of doing harm to others, that you have no right to do that. Well, it's up to us. On the one hand, of course, there are certain natural disasters, but on the other hand, many things depend upon it.